Hey, Gino. Osama called. He wants his beer back.
Nice. Oh, nice.
Hello, man.
Your back looks so healthy. Gino Bisconi. It's a pleasure.
Jim stood up. You didn't.
Yeah, doctor.
Really?
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Thank you.
Sports psychologist. How'd you get into that? Can you tell us why Gino's the way he is?
I mean, how
One question at a time here.
That's a show. That's a show to itself.
Well, I was an athlete starting from when I was 13 years old. I'm a tall female, and
I'm guessing volleyball.
Volleyball, track and field, and crew.
Crew, really? Nice.
Yes.
Volleyball would suggest West Coast, but crew would suggest East Coast. So
Which are you feeling? Which?
I'm feeling East Coast.
What do you think?
I'm guessing Midwest volleyball.
Okay.
I'm thinking East Coast.
2 out of 3 is correct. It's East Coast.
Damn it.
Florida.
Damn it.
Florida.
They have crew in Florida?
Yes.
This is the same.
Most of the people are on rafts or El Camino's fashioned into
There were
boats.
alligators in the river. We tried to steer clear of those.
Isn't the St. John River in there, Jacksonville, the only river that goes the opposite way in the northern hemisphere?
We'll have to Google that later.
It is. I think it is.
Really?
Anyway, I just want to know how that works for crew.
There was a year in college where I went the opposite way, but we all go through that. Oh, never mind.
All right, so you became a sports psychologist, and obviously we've seen some players the night before the Super Bowl. Barrett Robbins. We can't think of the guy's name from the Bengals that got all coked out. And
Didn't someone? No one emailed us yet?
No. Oh, you guys are just sick. Sorry.
That joke
It'll
fell
come to
flat.
me, but what are these players? You know, and I can just my own 2 Super Bowls. I saw a Giants team that was totally spooked out in Super Bowl 35 by the
Ravens.
By the Ravens. I mean, Ray Lewis was incredible in that game. And then I saw a Giants team that was completely confident in Super Bowl 42, vast underdogs. They should have been blown out in that game, yet they won that game. What's the mindset for most of these athletes before the night before?
Many of these athletes, particularly a team like the Saints, who haven't been to the Super Bowl before, are feeling really excited. They're also feeling jittery. There's a lot of pressures. There are fans involved, there's families involved, there's money involved, and those are common pressures for any athlete going to a large competition. But added on this is the crowd, the size of the crowd that they're expecting at the Super Bowl, and the physiological reaction that happens when you step in the center of the stage and
Stanley Wilson.
There you go.
That was the guy that got all coked out.
Do you work with people with Tourette's? All right, go on.
But size of the stage
And preparing for that. So a lot of these athletes are starting to feel jittery, nervous, having doubts at times right before the game, starting to look at the competitors saying, gosh, this person has so many skills, is maybe an inch or 2 taller than I am. And in my work with athletes, what we do is prepare them really to be prepared to execute the game plan their coach has set forth, but also to be able to manage their emotions, whether it's not being excited enough or being too excited. Before the game is key, the pregame, the week pregame, because it's about staying relaxed. It's about being able to perform optimally. What happens when you feel emotions? What happens when you feel all stressed out?
Oh, you saw that. Sorry. You get excited.
Okay, what is another reaction?
sweat.
She wants you to say your parasympathetic nervous system releases a flight or fight response as adrenal glands hurry up and reduce things, and you're nervous and you don't concentrate.
You're all right. There are physiological reactions to each of our emotions. So our emotions have an effect on our ability to focus, on our ability to stay relaxed, our muscles tense, and that makes us fatigue more easily. So really the pre-game strategy is about staying focused. And a lot of the work, each athlete is an expert knowing themselves about what makes them feel relaxed. For some people, it's about kind of disentangling themselves from taking 10 phone calls. Everyone they've ever met in their life is calling them, Facebooking them, emailing them right now, and knowing tweeting, and knowing how to take themselves out. Also preparing a mental strategy, having a strategy for expecting challenge and knowing how they're going to deal with it.
Do you deal with people and help them handle this?
Yes. It's one of the areas of
so let's say you were vested in this game, and do you think the Saints are nervous enough to lose by more than 3.5?
I can't make that prediction for you. What I can say, talk about strategies that would enhance their ability to reach their goals.
Well, I've always been amazed by certain players that are role players that come out and have huge games on the biggest stage. I mean,
Teddy Bruschi.
Or a guy like
David Tyree.
Tyree.
Well, that's one catch.
He dropped passes. It was one catch, but it was a tremendous catch. He
Greatest
dropped
catch
passes
of
all
the-
week in practice. But I mean, not only just in football. I mean, you have the Brian Doyles of the world that were marginal big league players that on the World Series stage performed.
Jim
Leyritz. And then you have guys like Barry Bonds and Alex Rodriguez that are the best at what they do, and they can't, they call it the proverbial tight rear end in most sports. That's the term most athletes use for it. And why that happens, I mean, and I think that all of us can relate to that, some of those struggles with some of these players. Gino was such a putz.
What's that? That was the email. Gino's
He's a
putz?
comedian. He talks like a coach. Get over himself. If he's so hot on football players and strategy, why is he in the strategy room and not on the Super Bowl sidelines? Hank Bradley in Seattle. Gino, hate mail. How would you deal with that if you were but so,
Hank, enjoy Pete Carroll, who can't adjust to the NFL game. Have a lot of fun with that.
yeah, but it's still over 500 coaches.
Good luck with your Sonics. Ugh.
Well, one of the things that I had a chance to ask
Oklahoma now.
some players, having covered a couple of different Super Bowls, and guys that have been to the Super Bowl, you talk about distractions and everything else. They said getting tickets for family and travel arrangement was the biggest deal, and to have 2 weeks between the end of the playoffs and the Super Bowl was a huge help. They said that was the biggest distraction, is the family and friends. Would you agree?
It is a distraction, and for many athletes, not only is it family, it's every friend they've ever met is suddenly in contact with them. And everyone wants a piece of them to congratulate them. And a lot of athletes need to step back. And what I recommend for them is to pick, for the night before the game, 3 of the top people who make them feel relaxed, confident, and the best in the world. Contact those 3 people the night before.
Tiger Woods gets in trouble for doing that.
Well, within reason.
Okay, fair
And-
enough. Just checking.
And
Can't have all three.
Yeah,
pretty good.
exactly.
And so
Yeah, the guy in
you
Seattle
have
didn't.
contact with the people that are important to you, that are reinforcing how you feel, the positive feelings before the game, and the rest you'll contact
Yeah, so
after.
don't hang out with your girlfriend or your wife because they don't reinforce positive.